What would it be like if God showed up in your living room? You might think that there might be lightning. You might think that the house would shake, or the roof would fly off and the whole place would be filled with light. Maybe. But that's not the way that God describes his presence in the readings today. In two of our readings, we have kind of a story of God's presence and someone recognizing the Lord's presence. And it's not at all with all of the glamour. It's not at all big and powerful and scary. In the first reading, we heard about Elijah, who's been told that he's going to encounter the Lord. So he goes into the cave to wait. And first there's a strong and heavy wind. It's so heavy, it's crushing rocks. But the Lord was not in the wind. And then there's an earthquake. I'm trying to imagine being in a cave of a mountain while there's an earthquake. Had to be terrifying. Yet the Lord was not in the earthquake. Then there's a fire on the mountain, and the Lord is not in the fire. But Elijah hears then a tiny whispering sound, and he hides his face because he knows this is the presence of the Lord, and he's not worthy to be in the presence of the Lord. So the Lord comes in a more gentle way than maybe we would have expected. Same thing in the gospel. In the gospel, the disciples are in this boat, and it's being tossed about by waves at nighttime. That would be scary in itself. There's no flashlights. It's dark outside, it's windy, the waves are tossing the boat, and in the midst of that, Jesus comes walking to them on the water. Now their first reaction is, oh my, this might be a ghost. Could be a ghost, it could be a demon, could be an angel, could be Jesus himself. They don't quite know. And yet, Peter has this faith, I think. He sees that Jesus is walking towards him, and he recognizes this peacefulness about Jesus in the midst of the storm, and he must know that it's the Lord because he asks something ridiculous of Jesus. He says, Lord, if it is you, bid me come to you on the water. That takes a lot of faith. He's asking for a miracle that risks his own life. Yeah, I said this at Daily Mass the other day. If this was me, the conversation would look very different. I would say, Lord, if it is you, I'm not going anywhere until you prove it. I'd say something like, tell me my favorite ice cream. Or what's the last 3 digits on the back of my credit card that I can never remember? Like, Lord, prove to me who you are. But no, Peter says, if it's you, tell me to walk on water right now. And he does. The only 2 people we know of to walk on water, Jesus and Peter. He manages to walk on water. He's going towards the Lord, but then suddenly he's distracted by the wind. He takes his eyes off of the Lord and he begins to sink, and the Lord saves him. Now, if that's not an analogy for Christians, I don't know what is. We're supposed to be walking with our eyes on the Lord, and sometimes we're doing a great job. We're doing maybe amazing things because our eyes are on Jesus. But there is so much noise around us. There's so many things to distract us from the Lord. We get distracted and we begin to sink. It takes faith to remember that the Lord is not in the wind. And the wind here represents all sorts of stuff. It takes faith to remember the Lord is not in the negative news. The Lord is not in the divisive social media posts. The Lord isn't even in the most trending TV show on Netflix right now. The Lord is not in the gossip. The Lord is not in the anger. The Lord is not in the violence. He's not in the hatred. The Lord comes in peace in a way that we maybe don't expect. It's easy to get distracted by the wind, but we're called to keep our eyes on the Lord. And when we come to Mass, every time we come to Mass, we get to be face to face with the same Jesus from the gospel. He's calling us in the midst of a storm, in the midst of the wind, to recognize his voice. And when God shows up here, it doesn't come with lightning, it doesn't come with earthquakes, it doesn't come with fire and wind. It's exactly how it is now. The Lord is here right now. It's a place of peace. It's a place of beauty. It's a place of communion with the Lord. And then when we leave this Mass, we have to step back out into the storm. So we fix our eyes on Jesus here so that we can step out of the boat and walk towards the Lord on the water. And if we keep our eyes fixed on him, then we know that we won't sink.